So let's take the focus off of Donald Trump for a moment. Jeb Bush, who came into this race leading in all the polls, he's got a gusher of money, over $100 million. He's a seasoned political pro. He was the governor of Florida. He's got a track record. Again, he tries to stay above the fray, but just recently he was involved in something where Hillary Clinton came out and essentially punched him in the nose. And then he came up and didn't fight back. I mean, people are saying, we see what your track record is, but you're more or less a political wimp. I mean, is Jeb Bush going to get away with that? Is Scott Walker going to get away with that? At some point, how do they swing back without offending everyone, but showing the world that, hey, we can punch just like Donald Trump can?
There's a segment of the Republican Party, of the electorate of the Republican Party, that wants a fighter. A substance is okay, but it doesn't go far enough. They want somebody, when Hillary says what she said, to say, you know what, we don't need to hear that from somebody like you, somebody who's inauthentic, somebody who rarely says what's really on her mind. Everything goes through a focus group. And because he didn't do that, it hurts him. It hurts him. And I think that segment of the Republican Party that wants a fighter, that wants a food fight in many ways, I just don't know. You know, Yogi Berra, he's attributed, quote, is making predictions is hard, especially when they're about the future. So I don't know if Donald Trump is going to flame out, you know, with his standing up and fighting back. People like it now. I don't know if he's got a due date that's going to expire. I mean, I don't think anybody knows.
You know, we do.
But you shouldn't be wasting your time asking me. I've been wrong about everything.
Well, you know, we're going with your long-term track record, Bernie. Okay, not just the recent stuff. And with respect to that, you've been pretty spot on, and you know these things better than almost anybody else out there. As this moves on, you know, we haven't in this country really ever elected a true, honest-to-goodness businessman. We've only had a few of them even reach the point where they were even in the election per se. But can some of these other non-professional politicians, for instance, a Ben Carson or Carly Fiorina, who was successful in the private sector, can they start to also ride the coattails of a Donald Trump also? And if that is the case, you know, it's just so hard to understand how this ultimately plays out from here.
Yeah, that's a very good question. If the man from Mars came down and listened to Carly Fiorina on the issues and listened to Donald Trump on the issues, forgive me, Donald Trump fans, but it would be no contest. No contest. Carly Fiorina is really plugged in. I'm not saying she's smarter than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a smart guy. But she has substance and Donald Trump has sizzle. It looks like in the United States of entertainment, sizzle is certainly up until this point is winning out. So could a business person go all the way? My inclination is to say a certain business person might be able to, but not Donald Trump.
Oh, so
but I've been wrong about him before, and nobody should put any money on what I'm saying about him now. I just don't see this. I don't see him in the Oval Office.
Let me then ask you this, Bernie, because we do live in a celebrity culture. I mean, it feels like
Absolutely.
We live. You know, if you look at what rates and what dominates, it's the reality TV shows, it's the Kardashians, it's
exactly.
People who, and really, to be quite frank with you, have never achieved anything, have achieved fame, have achieved fans, have achieved millions of followers on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and they've never done anything substantial in their lives. So maybe this is a different era. I don't know if it is. Would that be an indictment on this country as a whole?
Exactly. You know what? It doesn't happen often, Charles, but every now and then you stumble onto a brilliant point, right? That was a joke. That was a joke. I'm a big fan of yours, a very big fan. But that's right. You know, we live in a culture where we worship celebrity. So here's a guy who has an airplane with his name plastered on it. He had a big TV show. He lives in a penthouse. And people in focus groups, I've actually heard this, say, I like him because he's just like people like me. No, he's nothing like people like you. You don't live in a penthouse. You don't fly around in I don't mean you personally. You don't fly around in a plane with your name on it. You don't have several $billion. But if the Kardashians can be household names, I mean, more people know who Kim Kardashian is than Stephen Hawking, right? I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't Donald Trump, be successful? The question is, and it's a huge question with no answer right now, is this going to last? Or is this anybody could be famous for a month, I guess, or, Andy Warhol
to
said
your
for
point,
15 minutes.
If we go back to October, July, rather, the summer of 2007, and of course, the also-rans are pointing this out every single day now. You had Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, who was polling at 33%. And then you have Fred Thompson, a well-known actor who was at 17%. Right. And eventually, I guess, they would argue, some of Trump's rivals in the GOP would say, hey, eventually substance won out. Eventually true game plans won out. And this is why I'm thinking that perhaps on Thursday night, we will see a Donald Trump who pivots and talks about the economy. He's already talking a little bit about low interest rates and a tough Federal Reserve and some of the other things. But by the same token, Bernie, Donald Trump is saying that if he was president right now and they didn't defund Planned Parenthood, he would shut down the government. He would absolutely shut it down, an issue that crushed the GOP just 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, is that really feasible in today's elective world in Washington, D.C.?
Well, if he does two things that you're talking about, if A, he doesn't badmouth everybody, and B, he does talk about substance, if he's capable of doing that, we may be on the verge of something that's brand new. A guy who, as I say, gives egomania a bad name, who isn't as serious about the issues as many other of the Republican candidates, it may not matter. It just may not matter. I don't see that. If I had to put money on it today, I wouldn't predict that he's going to be the nominee. But what do I know?
But before we go, we do have to acknowledge, though, that if you just take early June, people who said they would definitely vote for Donald Trump, only 8% said yes. Now it's 34% on the GOP side. And those who said they would never vote for him went from 59% to 33%. It is really conceivable, Bernie, at this moment that Donald Trump takes this momentum all the way to the White House, isn't it? I mean, despite all the things that you know about political history.
It's conceivable, but in my view, barely conceivable. There was a poll once with Howard Cosell, the great Howard Cosell, and he finished first as the most popular sportscaster on TV. In the same poll, he finished last as the most hated, least popular sportscaster on TV. That's Donald Trump. Right now, he's both the most popular and the one people say they don't want to vote for.
Right.
So I think fasten your seatbelt, Charles. We're in for a bumpy ride.
You too, buddy. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Hope you can visit us more often.